Hello guys, so this is a student takeover from College of Science. My name is Eun,
My name's Jeriyla.
and I'm a third year majoring in biology, and I'm studying how axolotl salamanders could regenerate their limbs.
And I'm a second year Marine Bio, and I'm on my first co-op at Boston Children's where I'm creating gene-edited zebrafish. And let's start off with our first question. So, how do students usually find research?
So I found my research by going to the department page on College of Science with the, so I'm a bio major, so I primarily looked in the biology department, and I found a list of faculty for us to look at, and I looked at their bio and something like that. But another great resource that I found out after joining Northeastern is the mentor search engine provided by the Office of Undergraduate Research and Fellowships. So that's a great way to find out professors who are currently engaged in research, not specifically just in biology, but other majors and departments as well. So I know I want to do research at some point, but I'm not sure what kind. How did you figure out what you wanted to do?
So what I did was I dabbled in a whole bunch of different research. The first research I did on campus was not related to marine bio. I worked at a termite lab, and I was studying the reproductive physiology of termites. So that's a really fancy way of saying I was dissecting termite testicles and then like measuring them using some software. Totally not really what I wanted to do, but
What skills did you gain that was useful at some point in the future?
yeah, so through that, even though it's not really what I wanted to do, I did learn how to use ImageJ, which was really helpful for the next piece of research that I did, which was studying oyster reef restoration. So using ImageJ, I was able to measure their shell capacity and also like parasite infection. So yeah, if you don't know what you want to do now, just go for it, do anything, and probably the skills you're gonna use on that research will be helpful in the future for the next piece of research you want to do.
And the professors are so nice, so they could provide you mentorship even after the research has ended.
True that. And so, what is your advice to students who want to do research for the first time?
So I entered college, and then I just jumped right into research September of my freshman year. So I had zero research experience going in. So you don't have to be scared about not having any research experience. My lab was really kind in letting me adjust in by letting me attend lab meetings where you would just normally discuss the research that's been going on, or like reading a research article and discussing it. There would obviously be like a learning curve where you would have to look up a lot of terms for research articles and stuff like that, but if you're patient and you just follow through and you ask questions to your mentor and your lab mates, you should be able to catch up relatively quickly. And Northeastern has a really good class for biology majors, which is called Bio Project Lab, that teaches you a lot of the skills that's required or necessary to be a good member of the lab.
Definitely don't be afraid. If you are in a class and you like your professor's research, definitely don't hesitate to ask them about it and really get to know that professor. Because down the line, they'll be like, hey, I really want help in the lab. And you can be like, well, I'm really interested. And they'll most likely consider you as a candidate for research in their lab.
So our fourth question, what's the coolest research you've heard about on campus?
Coolest research? It has to be your lab. Honestly, your lab is so cool.
Thank you.
So, I mean, I'm probably gonna butcher it, but basically, you guys study regenerative medicine using axolotls as your model organism. But I think you can talk more about what you guys do in your lab.
So we have axolotl salamanders as our model organism. They're kind of distant from us in general, but they're like model organisms for regenerating a lot of complex structures, from entire limbs, spinal cords, tail, retina, and a lot of different things that we as humans cannot regenerate too well. But learning about how they could regenerate their limbs or something, a complex structure, could help us inform treatments for us in the future, as in like severe burn injuries, because we can't really regenerate that too well.
So I do have to shout out the MES. Okay, so the next coolest lab, second coolest lab, is the Patterson lab at the Marine Science Center. They're creating underwater robots. So it's a lot of it is just like their own internal projects, but I know Mark Patterson has created some robots for use by the military and for other governments, so that's really cool stuff too.
Our robotics department is pretty up in like
large. They're up there. Like they're really cool. They have so many projects going on and so many different kinds of projects. Like I think chemistry is also into robots too, which is like you wouldn't really think chemistry, but
like the nanoparticles that they're using.
Yeah, it's like robotics is everywhere, man. But yeah. So, did you always know you wanted to do research?
So I started off thinking about the fact that I wanted to go into medicine, and one of the experiences that's kind of related to medicine is research, and a lot of advisors encourage being involved in research because of how it teaches you critical thinking and independence and a lot of different skills that could be transferred to other fields. So I learned I love research after I just stepped my toes in the lab, and then as I got more experience and I got more independent projects, I really found out that I really like the thinking process involved in research. So I think it's something that if you don't know that you're interested in, you should try out and see if you like it for yourself. So what is your dream research project to be part of? It's related.
That's a really big one. Dream research project. It would have to be a happy combination between some kind of aquaculture research and ROV research, so remotely operated vehicles, like those underwater robots we were talking about. So I really like the aquaculture industry, and I really like the direction and different areas that different governments are putting their resources into developing it. I'm also really into ocean exploration, so we can't physically go down there, but I would like to be able to record different species that probably no one has ever seen before, and just like for those first 2 minutes that I like see it through the camera, I'll be the only one in the planet who's really seen the species. So any research project related to that would be totally cool.
There's like a professor on campus, I think, who's studying like how the whales make sounds underwater, and she has like she collaborates a lot of different people, and she uses a ship to like gain like the waves that the whales make as they communicate with each other. So Northeastern has a lot of like research related to marine biology.
Yeah, you wouldn't really think marine bio because it's kind of very specialized, but literally we have our own research like building out in Nahant, where that's basically where all of MES is. That's where they're doing their research. And it's basically everyone is just so dedicated, so passionate, and they love when people come out to Nahant and really just work with them. And also Nahant is just so beautiful. Like being over there is just so inspiring. Like once you see the ocean, you can literally on your lunch break go out onto the cliffs, watch the ocean, and then you can even like work there with your laptop, spend a couple hours. It's honestly so great. Love marine bio here. Oh, are you by yourself in the lab or are there other students?
So usually as an untrained individual, there would be other students, especially like graduate students, or sometimes the principal investigator who would be the professor. So usually we would try to work together as like teams or groups so that if there's like some safety issues, we would be next to someone who would be able to call for help or something like that. But I do take under like independent projects, so I could take leadership in my projects and guide where the project's going to go. So after you've gained some experience, you will be able to take your project further. That's what you would be able to do.
Yeah, that's typically like also the same thing with me, really. I'm always working with either a grad student or a postdoc in the lab. Occasionally I'll be working by myself, but those are usually times when I'm working from home or it's something that I'm not really using machine in the lab. I'm just on my laptop doing something with some software.
So our last question, do you get credit for doing research?
Yes. Yes. So, I mean, just by being on co-op and doing research, no matter what kind of co-op you do, you're always going to get Northeastern credit. But also there's a class, it's not really a class, but you can take research for credit. So you can work with a professor and do research for a semester. And basically you write up a research paper and it's independent work with the professor as your mentor. And that counts as, I think, a 4-credit class? Yeah, you do get credit for it. So basically, if you really want to get your hands dirty and deep into research, consider doing research for credit.
I am actually, I did the, so like if you're not part of an honors program, each college has their own separate honors and discipline programs. So I completed my honors in biology projects. So that would give you 4 credits for doing research with a professor who will be your mentor throughout your project. And then you would be able to submit like something, like a write-up of your research that's related to like a paper or something like that. And you would be able to have like honors in biology. If you're not getting a credit, there's also opportunities to get fellowships from Office of Undergraduate Research and Fellowships by working with like a mentor. They actually have like a peak awards for students to sign up. You could be at any level from freshman to senior years. So if you're interested in research, you should definitely sign up.
Yeah. Northeastern has like a lot of resources for if you want to get into research. Research is really encouraged here. So even if you think, oh, maybe I'm not a research person, but I'm kind of curious about it, anyone here will support you in your endeavor. It's really nice. Talking to other students about their research is also really fun and interesting. And honestly, doing research gives you like a step into the professional world. You build so many contacts. It's really good networking and also good advice from the upperclassmen and grads and postdocs. But that's our last question for the day. Thank you for having us and letting us give you our wisdom.
We hope to see you on campus. Yes.